The invisible enemy of the novel coronavirus had plagued the United States of America for over 4 months now. But the country's visible sickness of over 400 years of systemic racial injustice raised its ugly head once again with the murder of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. So before we get on with the Coronavirus Chronicles for the month of May, let us take a moment to think about who we are as a society, as the threat of military action and violence against its own citizens looms heavy.
I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
Since we last saw them, the shellfish family of Shelter-in-Place were traversing some treacherous waters. Though Shelter was able to procure a PPP loan from his bank, and Place begrudgingly continued her homeschooling of Little Inn, cabin fever had set into the household. The levees holding them intact were very close to breaking.
About time we got a few minutes to ourselves, hun. Been a hell of a week.
Yeah, don't I know it. I tell you, running the restaurant as a two-man operation with CD is not what I signed up for when I took this joint over.
Hey, boss. We're running low on the spicy gumbo.
Excuse me, sir. I done told you, check in the back of the cabinet where I stash it.
I know it's been tough, hun, but just hang in there. No sense in dangerously clowning around like those folks in Michigan and California.
What you speak of?
Oh, you didn't hear? I'll show you. Our country is so sad.
Ain't that the truth? I'm all for free speech and marching, but all that hooting and hollering ain't gonna amount to nothing when you're carrying a surfboard to a protest.
Oh, Shelter, you're too much, hun. I gotta go check on Ann, make sure he's keeping that social distancing up. How you doing out there, Ann?
Mom, this sucks. I want to be able to throw my football around. Staying in my chalk zone is not the same as scoring in an end zone.
Now, little Ann, you don't use that type of language around them other children, okay? Oh, this is gonna be a long summer.
The month of May began sublimely for the epicenter of the novel coronavirus in America. April's doomsday news cycle abated, and New Yorkers enjoyed their first respite from the virus by spending some time outdoors. But an unusual Mother's Day winter blast a week later was a sign of a more chilly reality.
This app is so freaking addictive.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house, boy. Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house, boy.
You enjoying that May snowstorm?
Enjoying your Florida boy toys? I know you haven't been practicing social distancing down there. Your Insta's very inappropriate.
Hey, not all of us have a man to shack up with.
Who, asymptomatic? Nah, I booted that fool out a while ago.
Glad to hear. I just wanted to say hey, and please wish your mom a happy Mother's Day from me on your LA family Zoom brunch. She was always so sweet when she came to town.
Yours as well. Now get back to that volleyball game or whatever you just posted about, you bird.
Bye!
While Quarantine's Mother's Day was celebrated virtually, Asymptomatic made it a point to head back up to New Rochelle from his current crash pad, a friend's vacant Brooklyn apartment. On his way, he stopped to pick up some essential items from a local CVS.
Hey, I need some help. The machine didn't spit out the right change. Anyone working back there?
Sir, are you sure it really needs to be urgent or absolutely essential for me to come out from behind the register to help a customer? New rules, you know?
I'm not lying. I put in a $20 bill for a Mother's Day card and some chocolates, and I only got back 2 pennies.
Well, you must be getting some nice chocolates.
You're right. These are French. Sorry to bother you.
Not a bother. Just gotta follow the rules. Otherwise, you never know.
You ready to shed some calories, big guy? We look like bandits on the Old West with these masks on.
Bandits that'll have to keep a proper social distance from other hikers, it seems.
Doesn't make it too easy to meet some lady iguana hikers as well. I'll just have to save my game for the Zoom speed date tonight.
Good luck with that. I tell you what, if you match, or whatever, with a special iguana, I'll give you half of my busking for my live stream solo show tomorrow.
You sure, Social? Jeezel Shuttleworth got nothing on this iguana.
As Isolate got primed and ready for his night of speed dating on the Zoom. In the apartment around the corner, Distance the dog was in the midst of a severe panic attack. Having just booked his and Social's flight to New York for Memorial Day weekend, grave doubts and existential dread coursed through his veins.
You've done such great work today, Distance.
I'm feeling a little lost still. I just can't get that news report out of my mind.
Populace on board, perhaps trying to counter this graphic that made headlines showing how the germs from just one single person coughing can spread throughout an airplane cabin.
Your worries about traveling are 100% valid given everything that's going on. At the same time, there are things you can do to reduce the intensity of your fear. For example,
Control my fears? How?
being proactive and taking preventative measures against the virus.
You're right. I'm going to get tested with Social.
Great. Now let's talk about mindfulness practices.
Hey everyone, my name is Isolate. I'm an actor, director, producer. A cinephile, if you would.
Wait, you look so familiar. I know you from something.
I get that a lot, but I'm sure you don't. Maybe from a 90s AOL chat room. ASL, anybody?
I want to match with this guy.
I really should say no to some of these requests. Here goes nothing! 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Social doggy dog and distance pooch are at the door. Ready to get a COVID test, so back on up. Cause we're gonna stop spreading it up.
Finally, the day had come for Shelter's Gumbo to permit guests, limited to 25% capacity and by reservation, with restaurant employees required to wear masks and gloves and take temperature tests before work. Shelter wanted to make sure all his ducks were in a row before any confit could be made.
Oh, that CD best show up and be ready to rock and roll today.
Hello?
Hi, Mrs. Place. Now you know I'm a good worker, and I'd never do anything to disrespect Mr. Shelter. And I want to work. I need this job. I'm just afraid.
It's okay, cognitive dissonance. I completely understand your frame of mind. I know when I've been out doing all the shopping that we gotta get done for the house or the restaurant, I'm scared out of my wits half the time.
So you think it's all right if I can't make it in? When it was just me and Shelter in there, I didn't worry too much, but now...
If you can't do it, then I guess I'll have to instead. It's a tough choice, but you're a good man, and I know you got Mama Croc living up in your attic.
Thanks, Mrs. Place. I'll give Shelter a call. I promise to be back as soon as I can. I really will.
I made my family disappear?
You are not Kevin McAllister, and you have homework to do today. I best not catch you outside playing football when I get back from the restaurant later this evening.
Okay, Mom. Whatever you say.
While the shellfish tandem of Shelter and Place were prepping the gumbo shop to accommodate seated customers again, Social and Distance the dog were taking necessary precautions for their transcontinental travels. The LA Forum, with its expansive parking lot, was the ideal spot for their drive-through coronavirus test.
Social? I don't know if I can do this. Distance, you got this. Remember what your therapy dog said?
Create some space between your fear and your sense of self by observing your fear. You are not the fear. You are the observer of the fear.
Let's do this and get out of here.
Are the results in? How'd Distance do?
We're both negative. The trip is a go. Still in shock, but he'll be fine when he sees that Chewy.com package on our doorstep. Ain't that right? Distance eats biscuits. Distance a good boy.
That's great news! And I guess we all get to do this again on Saturday. See you then, and doity-joys!
A few days later, after 2 months of lockdown, Social and Distance the dog were ready to break out of their caged existence and head across the country.
You promise me we're not going into the city when we arrive? Like I said, when we get to Newark, quarantine is going to pick us up, and the three of us will go get tested again nearby the airport. And then we take up residence on the shore all together and pray that our family and friends can handle seeing us in as socially a distant manner as possible.
I don't know about you, boss man, but I can't wait to get down to AC next weekend and slang some dice. Yeah, just one more week of this nonsense and we can get back in the saddle and kick that mule.
Are these guys even speaking English? At least we know to steer clear of Atlantic City. Okay, I think I see Quarantine's rental. Not exactly a Hertz.
I'm over here!
Memorial Day weekend brought American favorite pastimes of our pre-coronavirus lives rekindled. A live golf event on television triumphantly returned, featuring a charity match, and even President Trump himself golfed for the first time in 75 days. The holiday's namesake, seemingly ever so poignant, as the American death count of the virus approached 100,000, proved not to be a deterrent.
People who have been willing to social distance and those who haven't. In Indiana, near Chicago and the Illinois border, people waited for hours to get on the sand at Porter Beach. And as you can see, masks were scarce. This is a jam-packed pool party at Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. Not only are people shoulder to shoulder, once again, masks were practically non-existent.
Hey, EW, you happen to have a copy of yesterday's Times back there? My parents wanted an extra copy.
Oh, is this one of your plays to get me out of my eagle nest? Mama told me to be wary of boys like you.
Nah, I'm for real. I really appreciate it, essential worker.
Well, I like it when you call me by my full name. Say it again.
Essential worker.
I'll give it to you on the house, outside when my shift's over in 5 minutes.
Sounds great. I'll be waiting. Wow, this is quite the cover. You really are too kind. Do you want to go for a quick flight before I head back to my parents?
That'd be delightful. Aren't we just two birds of a feather flocking outside?
As the month of May came to a close, the coronavirus would take a back seat to the country's original sin of systemic racial injustice.
No justice, no shame. Iguanas don't play that game.
However, riots and looting would soon overtake the media's coverage of the peaceful protests and cause a new layer of anxiety for the nation as June began.